Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday and welcome to the first Diva Incorporated podcast. The ladies of Diva Incorporated are dedicated to the enrichment, encouragement, and fulfillment of women of color who have chosen the arts as their career. So, with that in mind, we are bringing you these monthly podcasts to spread the wisdom and guidance of women in the arts of all forms and fashions. Each podcast will be a different conversation with our guest, and today we are getting into the struggles of the new and virtual world as an artist, an educator, and a student. How you're going to get through it, and what works for you, and what advice our artists have to give. So, we know it's been hard, but the ladies of Diva want to show you that there are ways of getting through this pandemic as an artist, and we're going to get through this. Always. Right now, we have with us Professor Denise Hart from Howard's Theater Arts Department. Is there anything else you'd like to say to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. This is super exciting. I can't believe that I am the first guest, and let's get into it.
Awesome. So again, our topic today is the transition from in-person to virtual learning for the 2020s fall semester. And we'd like to ask our guests what struggles they had and any advice that they've had for their students, or in this case, fellow educators.
Sure. So this is a really appropriate question as we all have been thrust into this new landscape for learning. And I'll speak to sort of some of the just struggles and the challenges have been that everything happened so quickly. I can say that we had to move very, very fast, and we had to figure out what kind of a learning platform we were going to utilize for our learning. And initially I thought that I would use Microsoft Teams.
Okay.
Because it felt intuitive, like it had an intuitive feature. What I wanted was somewhere where it would be kind of a one-stop shop. So grades would be there. I could have video interaction. I could post assignments, and the students wouldn't have to log into sort of Zoom for the visual part of the class and then Blackboard to get, I wanted one-stop shop. However, a huge challenge was that some of my students, their email would not work to log into Microsoft Teams. And it was taking too long for IT to sort of work those out because there's so many people trying to do this at one time. And what I knew was that all students could access Blackboard, and I already was Blackboard certified. So I ended up moving everything I had built in Teams and moving it over to Blackboard in 2 days, which was stressful. But I got it done, and now I'm glad that I did, because Blackboard really is, it's a little bit dated, but once you figure out some hacks and some workarounds, you can really make it that really functional one-stop shop.
Okay, so what's one hack that you figured out?
Well, you need to use that left sidebar. You need to hide anything you don't want to be viewed by the students, because it'll be clutter.
Okay.
It'll help easily. Someone can get lost or get confused if you have too many things visible. Little simple things like you can hide a field like the help. Don't just erase that. Get rid of it. Nobody. Okay. It just takes you down a rabbit hole. Just have only the things visual. And first of all, create your virtual office hours and make that the top. Make it at the very top of that left sidebar.
So that they can always see that right first thing.
Right. They can see that, because, it's tough for the students to say, well, how do I get access my instructor? Right. And my students have given me the feedback. They say, oh, they use the word safe. Oh, this makes me feel safe, because it was so structured and so organized. And the first day of class, I went through the portal, showed them everything in the portal. Here's everything in the left sidebar. Went through, just opened up each folder. Here's where your assignments are. Here's where the syllabus is. And post things like your syllabus and your assignments, I think, in multiple places.
Okay.
So there's a sidebar link only for the syllabus, but also in the assignments folder, the syllabus is also there. So that, you kind of, creating an opportunity so a student can't miss something.
Right. And I think that's really appreciated, that you go through the breakdown of each and everything, because a lot of people assume that students know, and they don't.
They
No,
don't.
they don't know, and it's new, and they have multiple classes, and an instructor different from me, they may also be using Blackboard, but they may have set theirs up differently. And a student might assume that Blackboard is always set up one way. They don't know that the instructor is actually customizing that left sidebar. And so I also use a lot of positive affirmations, things that are true, like I'm structuring things this way to set you up for success so that we can have a successful time together, because I want you to get the knowledge, the skill set, and the mindset to be successful. And I use that repetition, and the students seem to really appreciate that. That's my mindset.
We need that. Like, well, me, I'm not a student anymore, but students definitely need that, because especially right now, there's not much to look forward to in a student's mindset. They're down right now because of the pandemic, because of they're being
Right.
quarantined, because they have to do this virtual learning on their own.
Well, I'll pick two of my well, I think I'm teaching three classes this semester, but specifically I'll speak to my play analysis class, and my students say like the class is their highlight of their week, like they don't want to miss the class, which is really great feedback. But I do keep it, kind of hype. I mean, I'll be straight up.
I remember from your classes back in freshman and sophomore year.
So I said to them, I said, with the exception of the music, this is really how I teach my class in person. So I just adapted a few things so that we could make the virtual space really functional and engaging. And so, for example, I start off the class with music. So I try to introduce the students to like some old school, like yesterday, last class I played Rapper's Delight from the Sugar Hill Gang, right? And they had to try to guess. Yes, they tried to guess, and it was a lot of fun. And I played James Brown one class. I just play a lot. I play some Beyonce too because I love Beyonce. But the music sets the tone so we start off, and I always ask, what's our centering word? What are we going to put in the chat to fire us up to start this class? And they just start dropping words and stuff. Sometimes I say, okay, put an artist in there, drop an artist name who has the energy that you want us to. So then they're dropping Chance the Rapper, stuff like that. And just to keep the energy like up, because it is tough.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm not even a student anymore, and I know that is so empowering, just to want to be in your class.
Well, another thing I think for an educator, so actually one of my colleagues saw that I had posted what I'm getting ready to tell you about on Facebook, and he said, oh, I'm stealing this. And I said, please do. So the students for my play analysis class, their exam is coming up. So on our last class, I did this review where I broke them up into small groups, 35 students in the class, 5 students per group, and each group had a topic. So for example, one group had the elements of plot. They had to come up with 4 tweets. They had to use hashtag #HUPlayAnalysis so we could search, and then each group tweeted their 4 attributes for their topic, and then everybody could search it, and then they got into new groups, and then they had to go through the tweets to see if they were correct or where there were errors. So it was a fun way to review for the exam, and they said, oh my God, this was so out of the box. It was so innovative. Like, you met us where we are and stuff like that. So that's another kind of hack.
And that's awesome too, because that'll always be there. So now your students from next semester will be able to go back and look for that just for some review and everything as well.
Well, it was really funny because it was got to be humorous. You should go search HU Play Analysis. Okay. And the way the students, like I remember one student said, you think you're an OG, try being Thespis and stepping out of the dithyramb, it was so funny. Their witticisms of how they, I thought it was, and then one student said, I guess Thespis walked so Denzel could run. to say that Thespis walked. It was so humorous, and we just had a ball. So it was their actual study, and we used social media to do it.
So you guys make sure you go and look that up, HU Play Analysis. Have a laugh for yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. And just one last piece of advice that you have specifically for your students this semester.
Well, for the students, I would say a quote, because I love quotes. And the quote is that this is a time where we're all being asked to adapt, improvise, and overcome. And honestly, that's the model that I've used for my whole life. You know, when we reach a challenging moment, you really do have to enter into a space of adapt, improvise, and overcome, because that's what's being asked of you. And so I would suggest and say to the student body, be okay, be comfortable with the fact that we are all on a hyper level, adapt, improvise, and overcome.
Right.
But understand that you actually have done this before in your life, adapted, improvised, and overcome something.
Adapt, improvise, and overcome. You will be okay.
Yeah,
Thank you so, so much, Professor Hart. It's
absolutely.
been wonderful.
It was a joy.
Our next guest that we have is Ms. Zurin Villanueva. She is a Diva sister. She crossed in spring 2007. And since she's graduated Howard, she's just been going and going. She's been on Broadway. She's been on TV, you name it. Hello, Ms. Zurin.
Hi.
All right. So this transition into the virtual world, how has it been for you?
Well, I am a people person. I prefer tactical touching and communication and looking in people's eyes. I get a lot of information that way. So it's been really hard having a lot of those elements taken from you. I do not prefer it, although I do prefer self-tapes than being in person because I get nervous. So
Okay.
when you do self-tapes, you don't have to get nervous, you know, or at least there's that. But
you can record as many times as you need to.
exactly. But even then, you know, sometimes you get in your head and you record too much. You just need to send the doggone thing. But
Well, since you brought up self-tapes, we can ask this one question. What is the best equipment that you have found for self-tapes and equipment or apps?
well, my favorite thing is my social light. It is literally called Social Light, Lite. I bought it offline. It was one of those ads that popped up on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, what's this? And I was like, oh, $150. I'm getting it. It was only $115, and it's a stand that has a ring light, and there's a space where you can put your phone or iPad. It stretches so you can fit an iPad in there as well.
Okay.
And it just turns the light real bright. So, you know, us melanated girls need all of the light available.
Yes, ma'am.
At all times. It comes in this cute little carrying case, and it has been my lifeline for at least, I think I've had it the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And I have been riding with that thing everywhere.
That is good advice because I definitely need something like that. You said social light?
Yes, social light. It's a ring light. Now it is very bright. Like, so when you're doing your thing, you'll be like, ooh, my eyes. But you know, you need the light, you know.
And have you found any apps on your phone that are good for recording or at least editing videos?
I just use iMovie. I record with my iPad and I just use iMovie. I'm not very technically savvy person. I don't really enjoy the things so much, you know, but like we have to learn to use them.
Right.
We all have to get with it. So I will find the easiest, simplest way to get things done, and that easy way has been iMovie for me.
Okay. iMovie. Okay. And so during this, you know, virtual world, we've had to imagine things being what they have to be now. So if you could imagine your favorite class back when you were at Howard, can you imagine that being virtual?
No.
What was your favorite class?
No. Well, okay. I was thinking about all my classes, and the way I remember them is kind of like one big class. Like I don't remember the definitions of one class to another, really. It was just like the whole journey. But now that I'm thinking about it, some of my favorites was Blacks in the Arts, which was a lecture course.
Yes.
That we had to take as seniors.
Yes. If you have graduated from that theater arts program, you know, Blacks in the arts.
No, Black for the Arts. Who is your teacher? Did you have my
Mickey
teacher
Terry.
with the last?
He was Mickey Terry.
Mickey Terry. Did he have locks?
No, he did not.
Oh, you didn't have my dude. I can't even remember his name. Oh, I feel horrible. But he was a brother with locks, and he was ordained by God. Okay, this man. You know how people have that gift of preaching.
Mm-hmm.
He had that gift. He was a musician from Brooklyn, and he had that gift. And listening to him speak, it was like you were going to church. Like, he not only was he teaching you the history, but he was teaching you the emotional reasons for us creating the arts. So like, he took you through it emotionally, like what we were going through, and that's why this art manifested from this pain and from that event and from that event. We were just like, my mouth was open most of that class. It was just like, and it was Friday morning. You did not want to get up on a Friday morning as a senior. It's on, the yard is popping out there. You can hear it. And you're like, there you are sitting in that class. Because I was like, nope, nobody would miss it. As much as it hurt to get up on a Friday morning, no one would miss that class.
See, that's great to hear. Like, imagine him as a virtual professor. He'd still probably be able to reach all of his students.
I think he would. He would. That brother.
Some people have that gift.
But my acting classes with Kim Bay, I can't imagine, that the emotional life that it takes to become an actor. You have to be in the room, to really see it and really feel it and learn from seeing someone else do it, and then being on your feet yourself and feeling the audience listening to you when you have them and when you don't have them. There is no technical substitution for that kind of human connection.
But so you have done a virtual cabaret, and you weren't able to have that connection with the audience being right there. So how would you advise the students, especially the seniors this year of the arts department, how would you advise them to still be able to pursue their arts in a truthful manner?
Well, I mean, there are so many different ways to do your art. There are an infinite number of ways to do your art. So let that creativity guide you. Like, even if no one has done it before, there is a way, and I guess for me, being in the quarantine, I have really been looking around my surroundings and really connecting with myself and finding that I am creative in many, many different ways. And there are so many different ways of doing this. So I would definitely say, let your imagination run wild on the different ways you can do it. The virtual cabaret went well. I thought that I would feel really disconnected, but I actually, because you could see them on Zoom, like the guy, I did it with Metropolitan Zoom, which is from the Metropolitan Room in New York City. He had just started doing this. So we did have some technical issues through the Zoom, because you know how that happens. Mm-hmm. But he had the screen up there, and you could see all of the people watching. So even though I couldn't feel them, I could see them, and I could see their heads nodding or bopping or whatever they're doing. And so, and when I finish the song, you see people like waving their hands like you would do for a deaf audience.
Right.
Cute. So I did feel like they were with me. It just made me more in tune with myself while I was performing, which was cool. But I would recommend that you definitely have a separate videographer filming it, even if you are performing through Zoom, because the video that I got was not full through. Like, it had a lot of stops. and a lot of connection issues.
Right.
And had I recorded the show live, then I would still have that good copy. So I'm about to actually go back to the studio again and redo some things because I don't have any copy from it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a solo show that I had been planning to do last year. And I was doing The Lion King, and I was so tired vocally because it was soprano, honey. And so I wrote it, but I never did it. And then this happened, and I was like, well, you have to do it now. There's no excuses. You have to do it right now. So that's what led me to do that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that advice. Thank you for giving us an insight into what you've been doing. We really appreciate it. And
thanks for having me, Diva.
Of course, Diva. All right, and now with us we have Miss Imani Branch. She is a senior at Howard's Theater Arts Department. Hello, Miss Imani.
Hey, what's up?
How are you?
You know, it's still a pandemic, so I'm okay.
Yes, mention the elephant in the room. It is still a pandemic.
Still a pandemic.
So within this pandemic, how has the year been for you so far?
It's been a little difficult. Yeah, it's been really difficult because I'm an extrovert, so the whole quarantine thing was really hard on me. Like in the beginning, it was nice, but I definitely missed like social interaction. So I'm glad to be back around my peers. But even that, like we can't socially interact probably like not nearly as much as we did or in the same ways that we did.
What are some ways that you guys have found that you can interact with each other?
Just hanging out in like our own spaces. Come to my room or, you know, but the whole let's go out together, you know, that's obviously not happening.
Right.
But yeah, I think like that more intimate settings, which that's fine with me because that's the way I like to hang out. So.
Okay. So what are some major differences that you've seen in the from being in person and being virtual education wise?
Oof. I feel like I don't have class. Like I have so much free time, and I was actually talking to one of my classmates about it, and she was like, yeah, I feel like there's the same amount of workload, but now I have all of this free time to like stress about the work that I do instead of actually do it. Like, and I feel like her and I are the same, where if we only have an hour to get 5 things done, we'll get those 5 things done in an hour. But if I have 5 hours to get 2 things done, it'll take me those 5 hours. And it's like, that long. So yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of time on my hands and not necessarily a lot of things to fill it. Now, if my teachers are listening, don't assign me more work, please. You know, it's still a pandemic, but yeah, it's been really weird.
Understood. And within this pandemic, how has self-taping been for you? Because, you know, artists, we still have to keep going. So how has self-taping been for you?
It's been pretty interesting. I think the biggest hurdle is like now I'm bringing my art into spaces that are shared.
Okay.
So like during half of the summer I was with my parents, and then the other half I was with my boyfriend and his roommate. And my boyfriend's an actor, so he gets it. He gets the grind. He also films self-tape, so that's something that his roommate is used to kind of like working around.
Understood.
But what he's not used to is like, oh, she sings and like she sings loud. So to schedule that around people, and now I'm in a situation where I live with like a bunch of STEM majors who don't necessarily understand like how often I have to practice and how loud it's gonna get. And so I'm really, like working around other people's schedules, which I'm trying to be as accommodating as possible because I do understand like it's a lot. But as far as self-taping at home, like I think that it's really fun. I've gotten over the whole like shoot it 100 times. Like I'm not a one and done yet. I might shoot it twice, but I don't like having too many options because at some point it's the same performance. So
Understood.
I just give myself 2, maybe 3 options and call it a day and just trust my work. That's what the rehearsal process is for. But yeah, it's been pretty cool, like learning this new medium.
Mm-hmm. And one or two last questions. I know that some people have a daily routine, especially artists, just to keep themselves fresh, their bodies fresh, their vocal tracks fresh. So is there a daily routine that you have that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So keep in mind, like this has shifted because I've been moving in the last 2 weeks. So
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been religiously following this, but I have to spend like some meditation time in the morning, some prayer time in the morning. That's like first and foremost for me.
Yes.
If my spirit ain't right, then nothing's right. So that and eating breakfast, like I have to make myself breakfast. There's something about that for me. And as far as like my artistic routine, I haven't been singing as much as I would like. I need to get back into like daily rehearsal, or at least like daily warm-ups. And feeling comfortable enough to like do that in the shower in the morning to just like wake her up. That is something that I want to add for sure. But one thing that I did pick up over the summer is picking back up my guitar, which I learned like when I was 12, but picking that back up, and that's helped me to engage in art, but in like a casual, like more love labor type of way. Like this is not an assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. It's really just me genuinely loving something that I do. And then I learn songs that I sing as well. So like I'm singing every day while I'm doing this like physical thing with my hands. So that's helped me a lot. And it's something that I do for me, and so like, and then, when I have a monologue to learn or have a song to learn, I'll do that. But something that I really like is my guitar, because that's like something artistic, but it's mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love that. You don't have to share it with the world. You can, but it's still for you. So I understand that, and that's really important to have.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then before I let you go, is there any advice that you'd like to give your fellow students and artists? I mean, and even your professors, because sometimes they might need it too.
Right. For fellow students, I would say stay on top of your assignments and try to get them in the day before.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that like the last 2 weeks, and I noticed that I'm just a lot less stressed if I just turn it in the day before, or even like the morning of and it's due at midnight. I'm like, look at me, 12 hours before it's due. Like
Yes, ma'am.
Right, I just feel fancy. I don't know what that's about, but so yeah, that helps with the stress level, I think. Yeah, and stay on top of like planners. Like I know that everything's online, but writing it down, if you're that type of person, write it down.
Yes.
Because that helps you remember. And then like for teachers, both of my parents are teachers. My dad is now an administrator, but they were teachers for my entire life. And I've seen my mom struggle with learning Zoom and Teams, and it's intimidating, and I get that. So I think like for teachers, just be patient with yourselves. And I know that it's intimidating because your students expect you to just know everything, but you don't have to know everything. Like everybody is adjusting and learning, and it's okay if you don't know how to create a breakout room in Teams. Like it's fine. I think like just transparency would go a long way. Like your students would appreciate you just being honest and being like, I don't know how to do this thing. I'll learn it, but as of right now, like I can't just snap my fingers and make this happen. And I think that like we all just, students and teachers, like we all just need to be patient with ourselves as we navigate online school and what that means.
Yes.
Yeah.
Patience. We love that. Thank you so much, Imani, and we hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
We have another guest of ours, one of our Diva sisters, Miss Beverly Jenkins, who was on our charter line, the first line to ever cross Diva. Whew. So Miss Beverly Jenkins, she is a Broadway stage manager, and right now she's also teaching at NYU and Shenandoah University. And honestly, we just would love for you to speak about your experiences as a Broadway stage manager, as a professor going from this in-person to a virtual world, and any of the challenges that you faced, and any advice that you have for any of your fellow artists, students, and stage managers.
Well, Avid sister.
Hello.
So I am Broadway. I am the production stage manager for Hadestown, and on Broadway. Wonderful show. I love it.
Yeah.
And when we got stopped in COVID, it was, we thought we were just going to be gone for 4 weeks. We were all like, okay, we're going to take a little vacation. And here we are 6 months in and going
It's been
strong.
a long vacation.
It's a long vacation. So in the interim, I got offered to be an adjunct professor at NYU, where I teach the first years in stage management, which is great because I break it down. I look at their faces, and they all want it. They all want the information, which is great. And at Shenandoah, I actually teach the upper classes. So I'm kind of like I teach them more detailed stuff, and we have great discussions. And I'm kind of like their mentor for the virtual hybrid productions that are going on, which is a challenge. How do you still stage manage? How do you work when it's in a virtual world, when our craft, whatever your discipline is, but our craft is about being in person.
Right.
And now everything is, I have to look into this camera. I have to look into this little dot on my computer. I have to look on my iPhone, my iPad, or whatever device you use. And how do I still make that connection with the people?
Right.
So from my end, I'm trying to instill upon them that even though we are away, I can't reach out and touch you. The job of the stage manager is still to make sure that everyone involved feels like they're welcome.
And how do you do that?
How do you do that? You pick up the phone every once in a while. You ask, you turn on your Zoom room a little early, and you're there, so you welcome them. And you ask them, are you okay? Is there anything you need? Is there any, you just find out how people are doing, because that's really important these days, because no one's 100%, oh, I'm just fine. Everybody's got a little bit of something going on, even myself, and in the big picture, I'm doing great, but still, it is stressful. And so I would do the same if I was in the room with the people. I would be there early. My door would be open. And so I'm trying to do the exact same thing, teach the students to do the exact same thing on the virtual hybrid shows that they're stage managing, to make sure that you are welcoming and that your paperwork is friendly.
Oh, I know that with being stage manager. It has to be all on point.
It's gotta be, you have to have the information up there. It has to be, I like color, I like a little color, a little logo. So why not? It just makes people feel warmer. And so that their stress doesn't start as soon as they see you. It's like, oh, I'm stressed. That's not our job. And so that's interesting, trying to teach the students that. My challenge as a first year, adjunct professor is learning this. I've been out of school for 105 years already. So, and it's like, oh, right. You all are all used to this, working on the computer and communicating school information. So I had to get up on that really fast. What I think at Howard, you all use Blackboard or something?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And so other schools use Canvas, and some folks use classes. And so I had to get up on that. And it's interesting. I'm learning a lot.
Which do you prefer? Which program or site?
Actually, right now, Canvas. I like it. I like it. It's easy to follow. It's clear. It has, I like all the sites that they have within the main site, of
Right.
course. I found that that one, for me, works really well.
I've used Canvas before as well as a student and as a teacher's assistant. So I understand, and like I've seen it on both sides. The student side, it's very easy to navigate. You can always usually find where everything is. It has a very nice outline structure of the calendar, and it keeps all your assignments right there.
Right.
And then on the other side, as a teacher's assistant, so I saw the teacher side of it as well. So it's very easy to upload things and grade stuff. It's all right there. So I definitely do understand why you said Canvas.
Yeah, so Canvas is the one that I'm like, okay, good, I'll stick with this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I'm still learning. I'm still learning. There might be, I'm learning new programs. I have a teaching assistant in at NYU, and she's introducing me to a program where the students can do their e-portfolio, you know, and I'm like, great, well, let's try it. I'm like, I'm game. I've never best to know everything, you know. I've been at this game for a while, but I'm still open, you know.
Yeah.
I'm still open to learn. There's a lot out there. Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
I have an
So
answer.
as a Broadway stage manager, what do you see the future of Broadway coming to?
We'll be back. It's not an if, but, or maybe. We'll be back. I can't give you a date because nobody can, because that date is out of our hands, you know. Just the way that Broadway works and how the finances work, we can't go back like restaurants are going back 25%. That just doesn't work for us.
Understood.
Or if, and in New York, if the students can't sit next to each other in a classroom yet, if they're having class outside, how do we expect for 1,000, you know, 1,500, most of them strangers, to come into a theater and sit down next to each other, mask or no mask, you know? And it's just, we have to get to the point where there's a really viable vaccine, or I even say maybe even a quick remedy, as you know, like, you know, when you know that you have a cold, you know what to take. You take or a Z-Pack or something, because we're not going to be able to have mass gatherings just yet. So but when we are ready to come back, we will come back, and and it might not be we're coming back to March 12th or March 11th standards, but we will have performances. People will come, and we have to make sure that Broadway, all theater has to make sure that they communicate to the public that we have taken steps to make sure that your safety is number one with us.
That's important.
Yes, because that will kill us. We can perform all we want, but if we don't have an audience, we're done.
Right. Right. So like, I know I've seen a lot of artists, and like especially theater artists, they're upset because things are opening back up and Broadway isn't, or their local theaters aren't. So what would you tell these artists to soothe them? Like, other than, you know, it's going to open back up, but what would you tell your Hadestown cast right now?
Well, what I'll tell them is that keep yourself healthy, which is number one. Because we don't know when we're going to be able to come back, but when we are allowed to come back, we want to make sure that you are with us.
Yes.
So keep yourself healthy is number one. Keep yourself occupied. With this whole new normal we are in right now, theater is being rediscovered. I am currently working on a workshop, a developmental workshop for 2 weeks, where we're developing a show. So they're with, 10, 15 cast members. So we have people working. So if you can get yourself involved with something like that, there are people who are doing cabarets online. There are people who are doing concerts online. So if you can find yourself some outlet like that, just to keep your, just to keep your craft honed and keep it polished and keep yourself out there, because it can be killing to your soul that you can't do what you really love.
Yes.
It can't.
Yes.
You know, I don't understand, you know, and you know, I actually love to see the dancers actually dancing in their whatever space they have. They're still moving. You know, it's like I'm moving. I have a 8 by 10 room, but I'm gonna move and I'm gonna use the stuff in here, and it's
Right.
inspiring. And I feel that when we come out of this, there are gonna be some really fabulous new works developed.
Yeah, because the creativity that you need to keep yourself occupied and entertained and at a standard,
Yes.
you need it. So like seeing these people that are making their TikTok videos even with their cleaning supplies and all that, it's a joy to see
Mhm.
because they're still staying engaged in their craft without falling into a deep depression, which is very common and likely right now.
Mm-hmm. And we also don't want to get um, stuck in thinking that art only has to be big money.
Mm.
You know
Can you say that one more time for us?
because it's easy to think that, you know, if I'm not on Broadway, if I'm not at Madison Square Garden, if I'm not selling, you know, 500,000 units of an album this month, that your art doesn't matter. But your art does matter. And when does it matter? It matters now, when
Yeah.
people need it. They need to hear it. They need to see it. And so don't stop creating. And is that is what I would tell people. Do not stop.
Honestly, I think that was a lovely note to end off on. Your art matters now.
Yes.
Don't stop.
Don't
Thank
stop
you
doing
so
it.
much, sister.
You're welcome, sister. You're
Ah,
so welcome.
you're
Love
wonderful.
the work that you're doing. Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Continue.
much.
All right.
Keep an
All
eye
right.
out. We'll be doing more.
Yes, ma'am.
Ave.
I bet.
Hello, we are back with our last guest, Miss Kalen Robinson.
Kalen is a recent alum from Howard's Theater Arts Department. She just graduated this past spring. And once Kalen graduated, she hit the stage running. She was with Broadway's Next on Stage virtual competition. And she has also been, prior to graduating, she has been in various theaters around the DMV area. So Kalen's been out there. She knows the world and this virtual world that we are coming to. So, Miss Kalen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So, since we already mentioned your Broadway's Next on Stage competition, can you just tell us a little bit about that? What it was doing that, communicating with the other artists, the admin that put the show together?
Absolutely. So, I submitted on literally the day of graduation. It was the last day to submit, and I just kind of did it on a whim. And luckily I just kind of kept getting the votes. So shout out to my village.
Yes.
But every time everything was pretty much by email from the admin, all of the communication. So they emailed you every time you made it into a new round.
Okay.
So nothing was really over the phone or text or anything like that. So in the beginning of the competition, actually, when I first made it in the first couple weeks, they didn't know how to pronounce my name, so they called me Colin for a few things. So I had to keep putting like my pronunciation in the bottom of my email because that's just how it was. There was no other
You don't even have a difficult name.
It is what it is. I guess like I don't know. Maybe it was Kalen. Cause like kale, so maybe he thought it was Kalen.
Maybe.
Anyway, but it was nice. The admin were really nice. They always sent a link for us to resubmit our video every week, and they
Okay.
gave us. It always had to be a new video, so you had to film it between that Friday and that Monday, and have it up by Monday morning because they would put it up immediately. They were very good at being efficient with
Mhm.
uploading our videos, with sending us the emails when we needed it, and everything like that. So that was super awesome. Um, as far as the other contestants, so when we first made, I think it was like the top 25, that was cool. I knew one of the guys in the top 25 because we went to the same high school. So we were communicating and we were messaging each other, and that was cool. But when it got down to like the top 10, top 15, we actually made a group chat on
Oh,
Instagram and on Snapchat. So we definitely would communicate with each other. We all followed each other on each other's Instagrams because Broadway World would tag us.
yeah.
So we would always talk, or we would tell each other how much we liked each other's videos, or
Love the friendly
it was
competition.
all love. It was all love. It was honestly a really, really great experience, as far as how they ran it and who I met. But it was hard
Okay.
because I don't like self-taping. I don't like it at all. It's not it's not fun for me because I feel like I fell in love with theater because it's so live. I
Mm-hmm.
realized that I'm a perfectionist, and so trying to tape a good enough video and
Yeah.
having to tape it and watch it back and thinking this is wrong, or tape it and watch it back and be like, oh, now this is wrong, but that was right in this video. What video? And so for me, it was always, okay, what video do I like more?
Right.
Because I have to accept, nothing's perfect. And when you do theater live, it's not a moment where you can go back and change it and
Exactly.
redo it. That's not how it works. So with self-taping, it's easier to be harder on yourself
Mm-hmm.
and to judge yourself really, really harshly.
Because you have to watch yourself continuously.
Exactly. And it gets a little frustrating, gets aggravating sometimes, especially every video that I had, I would sit in the living room with my parents and play my top two or my
Mm-hmm.
top three after watching 14 takes of whatever I sang that day. And they would sit there and they would have to judge me
Mm-hmm.
on what would be better for the competition. And even that can kind of take a toll, but
What was it that, made you decide, or, just pulled you to, this is it, or I just have to finish this. I just have to choose this one video. What made you do that?
um honestly, it was sending it to like people like Professor Johnson and my parents,
Okay.
and just kind of I knew in my gut which one I liked better, and sometimes I didn't. And
Yeah.
so sending it to Professor Johnson, who knows her stuff, and then my parents, who kind of know, but are mostly the audience that I'm going to, because I knew it was for votes.
Right.
I knew that they were an audience that I can trust. So I kind of based it a lot off of their visceral reactions to the video.
Yeah.
And so that kind of helped. Um,
I think that'll help. I think that'll help a lot of people, honestly, because
oh
there
yeah,
are a lot of students that are struggling with these self tapes,
oh
and
yeah,
they don't know which video to send out. So
exactly. I think it's always great. Like, I send videos to my other classmates sometimes because choosing the right video, especially with self typing, when you're doing it for auditions or for putting things on your YouTube or anything like that, as painful as it is, it's helpful to get a second eye or a third eye,
yeah.
to not just rely on yourself and how hard you judge yourself. Because there were some takes that I just did not like, that they were like, this is great, I'm confused. So sometimes
That
you got to
is
step back and
that
get
is
another opinion.
the problem of the artist.
Oh,
All artists.
oh yes. So that was good.
So speaking of self tapes and everything like that, what is the best equipment or the best apps that you found? I've actually asked most of our guests this, just wanting to know where they fall under that range.
Right. So, for me, I use App Accompanist.
App.
Um, App Accompanist. I use that when I need piano tracks
Okay.
specifically. Because some things are better with piano tracks and some things are better with karaoke tracks.
True.
So when I need piano tracks, I use Accompanist. The $3.99 for 6 tracks a month is cool.
Yes.
That was better to use when I was in school because I knew what songs that I would be singing for a long period of time. But being out of school, not knowing what songs you're gonna need when, I just upgraded to the $9.99 so I can get all the musical theater songs.
Hey,
To the $9.99 a month.
that's
So
what adulting is, isn't it?
it is. That's that. But also just YouTube. Honestly, if you just look up your instrumental, especially when it comes to not necessarily auditions, I would try to find the piano track. But when it comes to uploading content on your YouTube or just fun videos that you want to make or showcase videos or something like that, I think it's better to or easier and cheaper to just use the YouTube karaoke track because especially putting out to audiences who love musical theater or don't know musical theater at all or whatever you're singing, it's better to do it that way because they'll recognize the track and it's just more popular and it's free.
Yeah.
So that works. I have a ring light. I got it from Amazon.
You've heard about these ring lights. Come on.
Listen, okay. It has like 5 settings, so I can make it more warm or more cool. I can brighten it. I can dim it. It really really helps. And I got one that has a little tripod on it to put my phone.
Okay.
So it just makes it easier. I just put it right there. I keep it somewhere, plug it up. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
As far as honestly, you just need a speaker. You just need a speaker. It doesn't matter if it because at home I had this big industrial speaker that my mom had, and then here in my apartment I have a smaller speaker, but it just needs to be close enough and it needs to be loud enough. And you always need to test it.
Yes.
Because sometimes my speakers are not, you can't hear the music at all because I'm so loud. And sometimes the music is overpowering me. So you have to balance that up. And for me, at least the way I sing, usually the speakers need to be a little louder than I think. Because the camera's going to pick up your voice a bit more because you're just other than that, I don't really use anything else. I use my phone. I did buy a mic, like when I need to pre-record a track before. Like if I want to do a video like that, I did buy a mic that hooks right into my computer. I just record on GarageBand, put the track on GarageBand and record over that. But other than that, pretty much that's just it. And then just iMovie if you need to edit anything. I easily use iMovie. Very, very simple. If I just need to put some clips together, like put my monologue clip together, then put my song clip together, I'll do it that way. Just do a quick fade or like a fade after my slate, then get into my thing. So I do that. Oh, especially a fade out. I love a blackout after my video. So I put that because
we're going to keep the feeling of theater in here.
That's my thing because I don't want to just pause on my last, face that I made. A nice blackout just does it for me.
Yeah.
I'm not spending any more money on it.
No, and that's perfect because
you don't need to.
Students don't always have the resources. So hearing from you, a former student who has just graduated, it's really helpful to know what they can afford.
Right.
What they do have right there with them.
Right.
Some students don't even realize that if they have their little mini speaker, that's perfect for them.
Yep. You just need a mini speaker, and I really do encourage a ring light. And if not a ring light, then just get a couple lamps.
Yes.
Shine them in 2 couple of directions.
That's what I have done before too.
And you're lit. But once you get the funds to get a ring light, if you plan, especially the way the industry is now, all auditions, all showcase, all your opportunities are pretty much online.
Yes.
So it's best to invest in a ring light.
That is true. Thank you. So as an artist who is still working today, what are some things that you have in your daily routine to help keep you fresh, help keep your body good, your vocal tract good?
Okay. I warm up in the shower
Mm-hmm.
because okay, as soon as I wake up, I try to drink a whole bottle of water.
Okay.
As soon as I open my eyes, it's on my nightstand. I get up, I drink the whole bottle of water, so like I'm lubricated. And I usually brush my teeth before I take a shower, just so my mouth is also awake before I start warming up. So I do that. I also have car time, so my job is kind of far, so I drive a lot every day. So whenever I'm in the car, I'm probably singing or warming up, or I'll put on a musical theater song or a regular song, but I'm always just kind of singing.
Okay.
And it's casual singing. Sometimes it's learning songs. Whatever I need to do, I have the time in the car to play what I need to play. I play around, do new things with my voice because, whatever. As far as, keeping my body kind of together, that's a little harder with this corona situation because, sadness, being your mother's house sometimes
The food.
where she cooks you all the food. That's a little harder, but I'm getting it together now. It's definitely I'm not one for consistency. So I think you just kind of find what works best for you. Like I'm a random burst of workout kind of person, or I always have to switch up my workouts to things that I like to do.
Okay.
So like I'll learn a heels dance one day and that'll be my workout. Or I'll be like, I'll take a walk to this store because I need something, and that'll be my workout. So that's me. I have a little roll, the little rollers that roll out your body.
Yes.
I have that. I got it from Five Below for $5. They got plenty of them there. If you need workout gear or any other things like that, Five Below. They have it all.
Nice.
Get all your stuff for $5. You can get yoga mats, little yoga, what is it? The stretchy pull thing.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't even tell you what, but you can get a lot of workout gear.
Stretch bands.
For $5. Yeah, the stretch bands. I got some of those. Weights, anything that you need to like work out or do yoga or keep your bodies together. A lot of that gear you can find at Five Below for cheap.
Say that one more time.
Five Below. Go get your workout needs and your massaging rollers at Five Below. Don't spend a bunch of money because you don't have to.
Affordable advice from Miss Robinson.
Yeah.
All righty. So just before we go and wrap up, I just like to ask you one more thing, or I want you to share with us some advice that you have specifically for these seniors this year, because we all know sometimes it is a struggle to be a senior, especially now in this virtual era.
Oh, yeah.
So what can you tell them?
Class of 2021. I just think, stay strong. And you guys have to stay even stronger with this virtual learning. I know it's hard because even the last few months before we graduated, transitioning to virtual learning, and it almost feels like more work. It's like the teachers give you more work, and that's what it feels like because there's all these different platforms, there's all these different websites that you have to go to turn in all these different homework assignments. So I know it can get really, really frustrating, especially because it's not live, because it's self-taping, and self-taping in itself is already frustrating. So get your equipment, buy your ring lights so you have your setup. Keep your setup up. Like, I know me, I would always have to set up your setup. And I know you're in your mother's house. Like, maybe that's not possible. Or if you're in your own space, then maybe it is possible. But for me, it helped if I just kept my setup up because I knew I always had to film something at some point. So taking it down and putting it back up, it annoyed me. I don't know. It helps to keep your setup up. Always keep songs in your pocket. I know you have a lot of work, but don't get wrapped up in school. Like, there are still, even though theater's not the same, there are still jobs out there to be had in theater. So keep going on audition websites. If you have connections, email your connections. I just got a recent job because of a director that I worked with in February. So you just have to you have to keep those connections alive. Follow those people on Instagram. Interact with them. Keep yourself up. If you put out content, keep putting out content because people are looking at you, especially because you're graduating from Howard. Like whenever theater people around here need any black youth ever, they're gonna come to you.
Yes.
So you need to be ready. While you have virtual time, make your reels now because mine still isn't done. Make your reels, make your websites, do all that now because especially because everything is virtual. Do all that now. Don't wait. Don't wait.
Thank you so much, Kalen.
You're welcome.
Been a
Yay.
pleasure and just a burst of energy.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Always.
Wow, all those conversations were a lot to take in. So, what are some main takeaways from that? Adapt, improvise, and overcome, and be okay with what's going on. Let your creativity guide you. Stay on top of yourself and your work. Have patience with everyone. The arts will be back, so don't stop creating and working. And stay strong. Again, I want to thank Denise Hart, Zurin Villanueva, Imani Branch, Beverly Jenkins, and Kalen Robinson for being the guests on our first ever Diva Incorporated podcast. It was a joy and a blessing to receive all you had to give. I also want to thank our listeners for tuning in and invite y'all to our next podcast on October 18th. We'll be having girl talk and discussing self-worth and womanhood. See you then. And welcome back to the 2020 virtual fall semester.